Last weekend I went to Leuven with the old gits. And so this weekend, to introduce my mate Simon to continental travel, we've decided to take the wives to Normandy. We're all big supporters of our British Armed Forces, and all of us have served Queen and Country. So we chose the anniversary of the Normandy landings to go and visit the beaches and see where our boys landed. As always, Amanda and I leave sunny St Ives to meet Simon and Sarah in Northampton at the not even on the map yet Rushden Lakes. My trusty old 650 Versys got us there in good time, just before Simon and Sarah arrived on his new Triumph Trophy. Simon's recently upgraded from something called a Harley Davidson, and it's cost him a fortune because he's had to change all his badges. A couple of hours on the A34 down to Portsmouth and an overnight stop at the local travel lodge. The travel lodge was only 5 minutes away from the port, and we'd already met a few people that were going to Normandy to remember our fallen heroes, and a few of the survivors who were also making their way over. We were bumping into so many dedicated people who go there every year. I couldn't wait to sample the atmosphere. A bit of a new experience. I've never been loaded onto the centre of a boat before, always the front or the back end, but it seemed to work. Oh boy, and we couldn't have asked for a calmer, sunnier crossing. Fingers crossed it was going to stay that way. Despite the calmness of the sea, some poor chap dropped his bike as soon as he made land. A brand new BMW. What a shame. After leaving the port, we had a 500-yard ride to the Hotel Ibis. Perfectly situated for this trip and with some excellent parking, all secure and dry. To be honest, we weren't expecting much from Ouistreham, where the hotel was. But it seemed to have a lot to offer, and the hotel was ideally located for this kind of trip, and was full of other motorcyclists doing the same thing as us, along with a couple of World War II veterans who we had the honour to meet. And on the flip side to this, its share of African immigrants waiting to catch the boat to the UK, and Star Wars in French. The beach landing adventure was to take us on a coastal tour from Sword Beach, where we were, to Utah Beach, going through Juneau, Gold and Omaha en route. The code names, of course, for all the beaches during the Normandy landings. It was only supposed to be a 120 to 140 mile round trip, something that can easily be done on the bike with sightseeing stops along the way. But the rain hadn't let up all the way, and as we reached Arromanches, or Gold Beach, I was starting to wonder just how far we were going to get. They were clearly getting ready for some big events down on the seafront, but it meant that there was no parking anywhere, even for bikes. Not knowing the town very well, we decided to go back up the hill and park at the museum. The museum and memorial car park was absolutely packed. Serving soldiers from various different regiments, reenactment people and tourists were steadily filling the place up, but the parking for bikes was understandably empty. And just as we thought we were wet enough already, the heavens opened and drowned everything in sight. We thought we'd seek solace in the museum, but that was packed shoulder to shoulder. So we left our bike gear on and wandered round in the rain. In June 1944, this stretch of Gold Beach had an artificial port or Mulberry Harbour installed, parts of which can still be seen, and was used to bring in over 9,000 tonnes of equipment every day. As the day had turned into a washout, we decided to head back, letting our mate Tom Tom take us back on the fastest route. We headed back to the hotel to dry out our kit for the following day, in the hope that the weather would improve. Still raining, but nothing as bad as the day before. We decided to change our plans and move away from the beaches, because only a few miles from our hotel was the site of the amazing Pegasus Bridge. On the night of the 5th of June 1944, a force of 181 men, led by Major John Howard, took off from Dorset in 6 Horsa gliders to capture the Pegasus Bridge. Riding over the new bridge, built in 1994, the original Pegasus Bridge is now located in the Pegasus Museum. And were we in luck? It was 74 years to the day that the Pegasus Bridge was taken. So many of the surviving veterans of Operation Dead Stick were here to remember the day they took the bridge. We were in good company. There was loads of other motorcyclists to talk to, some of which, on a round trip through Spain, had made Normandy their last stop. Between the rain showers, we got to see what the museum had to offer, and meet some incredible people. In 1994, when the original bridge was replaced by a new one, it was sold to the museum for the hefty price of £1. The museum is home to a lot of interesting things, but none more so to me than the British military glider. It must have been terrifying to be dispatched in one of these, and more than 2,000 were deployed. One of the soldiers involved in this was Captain Richard Todd, an actor by trade, who went on to play Major Howard in the film The Longest Day. A highlight of the day was when Amanda met Mr. Roy Maxwell, a Royal Marine Commando who helped take the Pegasus Bridge. At 94, he was still able to recount events like it was yesterday. The inside of the museum was brimming with activity, and there was so much to see and do. I just love the attention to detail on these models. It must have taken them hours. It was fascinating to see some of the old equipment and tools that they had to use, but I couldn't get over the fact that some of it looked so familiar. I joined in 1987, and we were still being issued some of this kit, especially the weapons. From 1987 to the early 2000s, my personal weapon was the Browning High Power. A quick stroll back over the new bridge to see what was going on the other side. And if you like vintage motorbikes, you'd be in paradise. Time to head back to Ouistreham and the hotel and see what was going on in the town. It's hard to believe that such tragedy could happen in such a beautiful seaside resort. And Ouistreham was home to the Big Bunker, or Le Grand Bunker. This gave the Germans a panoramic view of the Orme estuary and the D-Day beaches. Only 5 minutes away from the hotel, It's a must-see spot for anyone interested in World War II. Only one more day to go, but an important one. Our final day in France was slowly drawing to an end. Taking one last chance to visit one of the beaches in Normandy to reflect on what we'd done over the last couple of days. The weather put pay to any decent motorcycling. We didn't get to ride along the beaches of Normandy and take in what really happened all those years ago. But we did meet some amazing people, heroes, like Roy Maxwell. I wish the weather had been better, but in reality if it had, we would have spent less time in the museums and looking around the sites. Oh, and the African immigrants didn't make it on the boat. And if you're thinking of doing a D-Day tour, Ouistreham is a decent place to stay.